Hey everyone, I'm Phil, and there are lots of things in this world that I cannot do. So, for an example, I cannot juggle, right? I just can't do it. I don't know how anyone does it. But anyway, today we're going to look at something that I can do. Hopefully I'll be able to teach you something that I know, and by the end of this, we're going to learn some stuff together.
It's time to learn stuff with Yekki.
So, welcome to my channel. This is episode 1. What this channel is about and what we're going to try and do is teach some ethical hacking basics. What we're going to do is we're going to start off today with episode 1, which is building a lab. A lot of this will be kind of automated with PowerShell and other such things, which we'll go through. We're then going to do a series of videos, hopefully released on a semi-regular basis, which will look at all various things. So I'm thinking episode 2 might be something like Responder. We'll try and look at things like Kerber roasting. We'll look at Nessus. We'll look at scanning with Nmap. Kind of all of those real basics we'll try and kind of cover. If there's stuff that you would like to see and want to learn about, please just drop me a line either in the comments of this YouTube video or on Twitter, which is at Yekki_1. And we'll see kind of what we're going to do. So today, for episode 1, we're going to build our lab. You can't do anything unless you've got a lab to practice everything on. A nice safe space where you understand the setup, you're in full control of everything. So what we're going to do is we've got a couple of Windows boxes already set up because the setup takes ages. It just takes so long to install Windows that I'm not going to bore you with that. You all know how to do that. So I've got a Windows Server 2019 machine and a Windows 10 machine. For the domain that I'm creating, I'm going with a Doctor Who theme. So we've got the Doctor as the domain controller and the master as the Windows 10 machine. We're then going to see favourites such as Clara, Rose, and hopefully throughout the series, we'll just build this Doctor Who domain universe thing that we're all keen on. Sure, why not? Obviously, all of the things that I show you and provide in scripts in the blog that goes along with this video, feel free to tweak and change absolutely anything. So you can change the domains, you can change the host names, you'll change the users, obviously the passwords. All of this is just to help you get set up kind of a bit quicker. So if we start with the domain controller, so before we do anything else, we want to set the domain up, set the machine up. So this will be the IP address that we want it to use in the correct range and the host name that we're interested in. So if we jump on this machine, I have actually already got some PowerShell scripts set up. So I spent a few hours sort of playing with these to make sure that they worked. It should be said they did not first time around. It did take me a fair while to get them all working, but we're in a position where they're working. So all of these PowerShells are available on my blog. And what we'll do is we'll toggle a breakpoint so that the computer doesn't restart if things didn't work well. But we'll go through it. So what we're going to do here, we're going to set the interface. So we're going to set up some parameters here that we're then going to use. So the interface we're interested in is ETH0. The IP address I want to give this machine is 10.10.20.88. The default gateway for this network that I'm on is 10.10.20.1. Then the host name is the Doctor. Obviously change these as suits your purpose. Then the PowerShell that we've got here, we've got new net IP address. So this all sets up the IP config stuff. It sets up a DNS address. The DNS is important. If something doesn't work, it tends to be DNS. So we'll always double check that one. And then it renames the computer to our host name. And then to take on all those changes, especially the renaming, it needs to reboot. So it then automatically reboots. So if we run this, we can see it saying it's doing stuff down here, and it has errored. The reason it has errored here, as we can see, its instance net IP address already exists. This machine is actually on a network which has DHCP, so it got the IP address earlier. But if you're in an environment where you've got static addresses, you might just need to do those, so I've included them in for you. But other than that, it's success, it's hit on our breakpoint. So now what we can do is we can do restart. The machine is now restarting. The stressful thing here is I've now got to remember the password that I set at the beginning. We'll see how that goes. Actually, do you know what? I have no idea what I set at the beginning as the password for that. Fingers crossed I've written it down, or I just remember it. Shit. Shit, I've got absolutely no idea what the fucking password was. Okay, I've looked up the password, fingers crossed it is now right, there we go. So looking up the password, luckily I had written it down somewhere, always important, keep as good a notes as you can. What we'll see is it comes up with all the server stuff, which we're not too interested. However, if I go to command prompt and do an ipconfig/all, it will show me that the hostname has been changed to the doctor and I've got an IP address. So that PowerShell script has done exactly what we want. So what's next? We've got that. Well, now we need to install all the Active Directory modules. So these can be done manually through this server manager. But again, I've written some PowerShell because it just makes life slightly easier. And I do this relatively often, so it just kind of makes sense. Again, I've got a restart computer at the bottom, so we'll just toggle in a breakpoint. That is actually the wrong script. So here, install AD, again, though I do have a reset computer at the bottom, and we'll toggle in that breakpoint. So here we've got a domain name, so ours is going to be tardis.local. The NetBIOS domain will be TARDIS. You then always have to set a safe mode password, so I've set mine to that. And then what I'm doing is I'm installing something called Nugent, which it requires for the install, not sure why. We're then installing the Active Domain Services feature, then the module of Active Domain, to then install the forest, which has got all these bits in, which are just kind of standard. The fact it's a Win 2012 R2 domain, where the sysvol path is, all of that stuff that's quite important to us. We're then going to install the module Server Manager, and then the RSAT AD tools are things like users of computers and group policy editor. These are just things that will make life easier later on. So if we click run, this will take a little bit of time to run. It will apparently also error, but we can't look at that quite yet. Not quite sure why that's erroring, but I'm sure we'll work it out. So here it is, safe mode password. So it's still asking me for my safe mode password, even though I put it up in the code. Not quite sure why that is. Then going to have to confirm it. How dull is that? Okay, so that's done. So next step, we install all the other bits and pieces. Where did my juggling balls go? So while this installs, how hard can this be? Aha, right. So it needs to install this, which I thought we did in the script, but apparently not. But we get prompted, so just click yes and carry on. I just can't juggle. Right, are we done? Nope. This is taking longer than I thought. Okay, so we've got a success, and I think it's hit the break line. So what that means is that we can then do the restart of the computer, and hopefully we'll see that there's a domain. Let's hit restart. So as we wait for this to boot up, I've had enough of juggling. I still can't get the hang of it. That install took longer than I thought, and I'm still nowhere near, so never mind. We'll try something. Hopefully the next episode will be something more fun, like eating chocolate cake, but who knows. Right, so after what can only be described as freaking ages, we've now got a login screen. So it spent ages configuring stuff, but fingers crossed, there we go. So now this is part of the TARDIS domain, which is brilliant. So that's exactly what we wanted. So now I've just got to remember my password. So there we go. So I'm all logged in. It turns out I just couldn't type. I was typing in what I thought was the right password, but it wasn't. So anyway, right. So we've now added our domain. So now what we're going to need is we're going to need some users on this domain so that we can easily log in the future. So again, I've written a bit of PowerShell for this. This will be on my blog, blah, blah, blah. You can just copy it, change what you want from it. So what we've got here, again, we've got a whole bunch of variables at the top. So we've got the OU, operational unit, that it's going to sit in, what the path for the OUs that I want the users to be in, the names and the principal names and the passwords for the users. Then what this does here is it creates the organizational units. It then creates the users and puts them in the right place. And then it adds my domain admin, Clara, to the domain admins group so that she's then DA across the whole domain. This one then doesn't need a restart. So what we'll do is we'll run that and we'll watch it jog through. It's done, just like that. And if we go and look at users and computers, we should then be able to see we've got our domain here. It's created domain admins and domain users, and our users are there. So that's great. One thing that is worth noting is, as default in users and computers, you get kind of crap information. Really, you need the advanced features. So just go to View, click Advanced Features, and it gives you so much more. And then when you go to any of these OUs, you get a few more tabs. What this also means is in object, you can protect object from accidental deletion, which we've had on. So if something did go wrong and you can't delete it, just do those steps and you'll be able to. So now that we've got the doctor, our domain controller, and our domain set up, we now just need to go to our Windows 10 machine, which is the master. So we've got this over here. We're all logged in. And I have again got some PowerShell to do this. So first up, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to set the IP address and the hostname. This is the exact same script as we used on the other one. We'll toggle a breakpoint just to make sure it works. We have an issue just because, again, the HCP. And then let's just finish that off by rebooting. This still is not connected to the domain. This is still just a local computer. But what we'll do is we'll do the exact same check that we did before when we're in. So we will go to command prompt. We'll go ipconfig /all, and it has not done what I wanted it to. Shit. I'm not sure because it seemed to run through without an issue, so we wanted to give it the hostname the master. Let's just remove the lines that we don't need anymore, so we'll get rid of all of that. Toggle a breakpoint. If we run the script, of course, running scripts is disabled on this system. So before we do anything like running a script, we need to run a bypass for the execution policy. So to do that, all we need to do is do set execution policy, and then I think it's bypass, unrestricted. Unrestricted. This comes up saying, do you want to trust random scripts that you steal off the internet? The answer is yes, generally we do. We can't do that because we're not running it as an admin. So let's open up a normal PowerShell window, run that as an administrator, and we'll copy this text in, paste that. There we go. We want to say A for all, and then that's done. So now hopefully, if we do this again, access is denied. Again, we're still not an admin. So what I need to do is open up this in as an admin. I think this is what happened when I did it yesterday, and I just completely forgot. But reading the error messages will generally get you the answer, albeit it might just take a while. Okay, I was expecting to be able to drag and drop that, but never mind. Edit. It's going. Okay, so we'll take that, we'll close that one because that is in a not administrator. This one is now an admin. Set a breakpoint to make sure that we don't get any more weird errors. Okay, now it's decided it can't set a breakpoint. How about we just do a run selected of this? Changes will take effect after you restart the computer. So it looks like that's worked. So now we can just run this. And again, right, so now that we're logged back in, what we need to do is this, we'll check this computer should now have the hostname of the master. I'll do ipconfig/all, and it does, the master, brilliant, and all of our stuff, all of our IP is still set up. So next up, we want to add this to the domain. So to make sure it works first time, we're going to run this in administrator, just to make life that slightly bit easier. Just going to open up that, we can close that, and open up join domain. So what this PowerShell does is this takes the domain that we want to join it to, the password for the domain admin user, the name of the domain admin user, and if you remember, we set Clara to the domain admins group in the PowerShell, in the last PowerShell on the server. So then it creates a credential which it can use, which is the combination of the username and password. It then adds the computers to the domain and then restarts. So let's toggle a breakpoint. Let's run that. So that did not work. Interesting. So I guess the better question, ping 10 10 20. What's this box? This is 89, so it's going to be 88. So ping 10 10 20 88. So we can ping it. Our DNS server is the issue. So the DNS server, you remember earlier how I said if it doesn't work, it's generally DNS? Our DNS server is 20.1. We actually need the DNS server to be 20.88 to match up with that. So if I thought that was in the previous bit of PowerShell, so let's have a look in there. Oh no, well we got rid of that PowerShell. So let us just quickly do that the old-fashioned way. Obviously now what I'd do is what I'll do is I'll tweak the scripts so that on the blog they're correct and they include this kind of information. Use the following domain 10 10 20 88. If we do an OK, so now if we redo that command, we've now got that as a DNS server. So let's now try running all this again. Changes will take effect. So it solely was DNS issue. Right, so let's restart that computer again. There's a lot of too much restarting in this, I would say. Too much. Right, so we're back in. And now we should be able to log into the domain. So if I go other user, the domain is TARDIS. So now if I go Rose, who is one of the users that we added earlier, we can now log on, which is great. So now what we've done is it will go through all its boring Windows setup, but we now have our lab set up. So we've got a domain controller with a domain built on it. We've got two users, a standard user and a domain admin user, which would be great for kind of Prevesc stuff that we do later on. We've then got a Windows 10 box, which is connected to that domain, so we can use that. What we'll also need on this same network is a Kali Linux box to do a lot of the attacks later on. The setting up of that won't be specific for these labs. That is just how you work best. So do that kind of in your own way, and then hopefully episode 2 we'll start looking at some attacks. So I'm hoping that will be Responder. I think between now and then I'm going to give up my juggling career. Who knows which talent I will show you that I do not have for the intro next week. But yeah, please like and subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments and hit me up on Twitter for any questions. Thank you very much.